Good morning, all. Can you hear me? Good morning, all. Can you hear me? Hello. Hello. Can you hear me? Can we start? At least type there, okay? No, sir. What happened to Pooja? Sneha. Are you able to hear me now, Sneha? Others are able to hear me. How about Pooja and Sneha? Are you able to hear me now? Okay, please check your audio settings. Pooja and Sneha, please check your audio settings. I think there will be some problem with your audio settings. So shall we start? Or we'll wait for 2 minutes. How many of them? 13 are there. 14 are there online now. Okay, good. How about Sneha? Can you hear me? Okay, fine. So I think 13 have joined. We need to 12 is there. I don't know why these numbers are fluctuating here on the screen. Okay. So till now we have covered 3 important chapters. First was about basic introduction about the commodity exchanges and types of exchanges and all those things. We have already covered that. The second thing was about regulatory frameworks. So who are the basic regulators in commodity market? What are their roles and how they regulate all those things? That we have covered it in the second chapter. And the third one is about the quality, standardization, and grading. So that also we have covered. So the next important chapter is about warehousing and settlements. See, these 2 chapters, right? Next 2 chapters are very important, and it involves a lot of practical understanding about how the concept works in commodity markets. So whatever I will be discussing henceforth, right? That is from this session, that is on warehousing concept and also on settlement process, how the settlement takes place. Be a little bit attentive, okay? Because this is where the practical aspects of how the market works, especially in commodity exchanges, we can now understand it in clear terminologies. So coming back to warehousing, since it's a commodity, right? We are doing with commodity. Commodity can be traded in 2 different forms. One is either you can convert that commodity into equivalent cash form, and you can settle the transaction only in the cash difference. That is your agreed price at the time of entering into the future contract, and the settlement price, that is on the day of contract. So whatever the difference is there, that price you can settle it in terms of cash, if the contract term says that it's a cash settlement thing, what you want to do it. But if the terms of contract, that is terms of future contract, says that it is delivery of physical goods, then it becomes important that the buyer will be willing to take the possession of the physical goods from the seller. So this is how the concept works. But the problem is very important here. If you are taking the settlement through physical goods, so this warehousing concept comes into picture only when the future trade settlements takes place in case of physical goods. So how do you do this? Because this is where criticality lies. So who should ensure that the particular grade or quality of that particular commodity for which you have agreed to sell and the person is agreed to buy, need to settle it on the day of finalization of the contract or the validity of the period of settlement of the contract? So who should do it? So how is it done, and who takes the responsibility for doing all these things? So this is the entire different framework called as warehousing concept, where the registered warehouses are there or recognized warehouses are there, and specialized people are there who are working with this warehouse from the exchange and also from the depositor side. Also, who will be specializedly trained and specialized certified people who will be ensuring that there is a smooth exchange of physical products between the parties to the contract. So the concept of warehousing is very, very important, especially in terms of physical settlement of contracts. So when we talk about delivery of cash, that's a very simple way of doing it, because clearinghouse agents are there. They are the people who will be helping us in settling the transactions, just like how they do it in stock exchanges. Similarly, when it comes to the question of physical transfer of goods, basically here physical exchange, physical settlement of commodities, it is very important to know who should store that commodity, and what are the process of storing it, and how do they grade that, and how do they make sure that the particular physical quantity of goods are delivered to the particular contract people who have entered into. So who does all these things? And that is called as warehousing concept. Okay, so let us go to this concept in detail now. And in order to make this presentation, let me tell you something about NSDL. So National Securities Development Limited. NSDL is one of the Depository Limited, sorry, not in National Securities Depository Limited, that is called as. So NSDL is the main brain behind all these things. Okay, so any warehouse for that matter, which wants to act as a warehousing authority for any commodity exchanges, right? First, they need to take the approval from NSDL and the depository participants, right? They are the people who gives this warehouse receipt. So warehouse receipt can be held in depository form with NSDL being the major what you call as depository participant for commodity warehouse receipts. So who are depository participant? Depository participants are those people who normally hold your demat accounts. Okay, so you need to open a demat account, just like how you do trading in stock market, right? Here also you are supposed to open a demat account, that is dematerialized account in form of number of commodities. Okay, here it's not in number of shares or securities here. So dematerialized form of commodity will be given here. So physical possession of the goods will be, or commodity will be in the hands of warehouse, and to that extent they need to give the what you call dematerialized form of physical quantity what you are held, or what that depository is holding with that particular authority, that should be given. So who is the brain behind all this thing? NSDL, National Securities Depository Limited. That they are the people who are managing the entire show here. So right from the recognition of the warehouse, granting of permission, and giving timely and necessary advices whenever it is required, and appointment of agents and all those things, it becomes the monitoring authority, especially when we call it as the role of NSDL is concerned in this. So two important people. One is depository participants. Depository participants are those people who will be helping the buyers and sellers, okay, to meet with the exchange. So they are called as depository participants. So they are the people who will be holding hold a dematerialized form of commodities, and they'll be helping the two people, buyers and sellers, to come and interact with the exchanges. So depository participant, and their role is very important. We'll come back to them afterwards. So NSDL has a agreement with major exchanges like NCDEX, National Commodity Derivative Exchange of India, and also MCX, multi commodity exchanges, and about 20 warehouses hold 35 different commodities in custody today. So that is one of the challenging areas which are lying in India, because we don't have too many warehouses which can hold or which can store the commodities for trading purposes. So that is one of the limitations what we have. So NSDL is the main person who is working with the main exchanges like NCDEX and MCX. And today, as of today, we have 20 warehouses and also about 35 different commodities which are in custody. So this is how the structure works. And what is this warehouse receipt? Warehouse receipt is a receipt given for given to the person who wants to sell, right? So it is a receipt given to the person saying that what is the number of or what is the grade or quantity of material commodities which has been stored in his name. Okay, and it also contains all the special characteristics like what is the valuation done by the assayers and verified and certified by statutory auditors and all those things. So warehouse receipt is just an acknowledgement type of thing, or it's a confirmed document which says that so many, it can be called as a title document in simple. Okay, it's a title document which gives the title, showing that what the depositors hold against the commodity deposited with them. So basically, I cannot directly get this warehouse receipt. I need to route it through my depositors. So depositors are the persons who will be getting this warehouse receipt for me, and they will be in 1 second. Just please hold on. Okay, so they will be the authorized people. Depositors are the authorized people who will be interacting between sellers, buyers, and the warehouse. So warehouse doesn't directly interact with all the sellers or all the buyers. So they do it through a procedure wherein they directly get involved with depositors. Depositors are again those people who are recognized by the NSDL and who are recognized by the exchanges to represent the sellers and buyers. So what happens here, warehousing receipt is a very important document. You can call it as title document because it gives it works just like as an acknowledgement for whatever the goods you have kept or whatever the commodities you have kept in the exchange, right? That is the authority document which is issued by the warehousing authorities. So that it says what are the grade, quality, and what is the expiry time, or any particular condition is associated with that particular commodity. Even that is also mentioned in that particular warehouse receipt. So it is a title document. Okay, so this can be endorsed and this can be even transferred to different people also. So endorsement also is possible, and it can be transferred to other people also. So and a very important thing about warehouse receipt is you can take loan on that. Okay, it can act as a since it's a title deed, so you can pledge that and you can take loan if there is emergency of loan required, especially in case of farmers, agriculture people, right? So they can surrender. They can not surrender. They can give it as an what you call a title document in order to take a loan from financial institution in case of urgency. So that is possible. That is very important thing what the warehouse receipt title document can give a person who owns that particular thing. So that is very important. Wage receipts. Okay, sorry, warehouse receipts. So warehouse receipt is a title document which is being given by warehouse authority to the depositors. Okay, so to the depositors against the warehouse against the commodity what they have stored. So that is a very important title document. So without this nothing can take place. So a valid warehouse receipt is must and should for doing the trading transactions. Okay, so it will be required at the time of settlement of the contract also. You need to produce this warehouse receipt, and this can be transferred or it can be kept as mortgage also for the purpose of taking loans and all those things. You can do it. So that is that level of comfort is given with warehouse receipt. Then how this warehouse receipt works? Okay, let us understand the small process of how this works. First one, an account holder. Who is an account holder? The person who demat account holder. Here it's called as demat account holder. So demat account in terms of, see, this is a different demat account. So since exchanges are different, you cannot use the same demat account if you are holding it for shares. The same demat account will not hold good here. You need to have one more demat account for if you are doing transaction in commodity exchanges. So this is they are called as account holders. So anyone who opens an account with a depository participant who gives you the demat account, right, who creates a demat account for it and who custodies your demat account. So first and foremost thing is an account holder. You need to become an account holder. To become an account holder, you need to open a demat account. Okay, so demat account is with depository participants. And who are these depository participants? They are the people who will be taking permission from National Security Depository Limited, NSDL. So you need to take them, the permission from them to act as depository participant, and these people in turn give you permission for opening an account, demat account with them. So you need to first have a demat account, then you become an account holder. So we'll have to quote the demat account number specifically opened for this purpose. So please remember, specifically opened for this purpose, they have told. So so at the time of entering into the commodity exchange, they will ask you about two things: whether you want to do it in cash transactions or it is a physical exchange of commodities. So if you are opting for physical exchange of commodities or physical trading of commodity, then you need to you will get a demat account number. Okay, so they will give you a demat account number, and that demat account number should be used for this purpose. That is the first thing. Second one, warehouse will credit warehouse receipt in the demat account using corporate action facility offered by NSDL. So this is the second step which is involved here. So once you open a demat account and the account holder gives the demat account number, then what the warehouse authority do? Warehouse will credit warehouse receipts. So credit means they take in the name of that person who is holding the demat account the particular stock of commodity which needs to be stored with them. So that is called as corporate action facility. So corporate action facility is something which has been offered by NSDL. So they credit this particular demat account for that particular commodities. So what has been given by that particular account holder. Then the balance so created can be used for transfer of settlement of commodity futures trade. So they can this balance, whatever the balance is there, that can be used for settlement of commodities in future trade. So that is how the process works. How to take the delivery? So there is a process. That means if on the day of expiry of the contract, how to take the delivery of that particular commodities. So let us say two people have entered into a contract for some buying of some tomatoes or something like that. So on the day of expiry of the contract, that is after completion of 3 months, 2 months, or whatever the terms of contract was. So how do the person who wants to take the delivery of that commodity, which he has entered into contract some few months back, based on underlying asset values and all those things, how does he take the possession of that physical? So there is steps involved in that. So what are the steps involved? First step is you should submit a request in physical delivery request form for the desired quantity. So first thing is you need to, there is a form which is available both offline and online. So the physical form also can be given, or it can be in the electronic form also. So because many times what happens is a lot of transactions takes place outside the geographical boundary. So people will be using it in different geographical locations. So how to take the position? Then you can use physical form as well as electronic form, depending upon the circumstances and nature of the region or geographical boundaries under which you are operating. So first thing is you need to submit this physical delivery request form, for the desired quantity. So what is the quantity you are supposed to take? Physical possession of the quantities you need to take. That request needs to be submitted in the form. Okay, that form is called as physical delivery request form. So who should submit it? The person who wants to take the physical quantity of the commodities on the date of expiry of the contract. He should file that. So the second step, what is that is after receiving this physical delivery request form, that request will be transmitted to the registrar electronically through depository system. So everything is screen based and electronic system now. In some cases, still that physical forms are still accepted. Okay, still there is acceptance of physical form, but in majority cases, it happens through the electronic way itself. So once you have submitted the form, it gets transmitted to the registrar electronically through depository system. So depository system is through your demat account, whatever you are holding, through that account it transfers. Then registrar will send details of the account holders, including a signature, to the warehouse to enable the warehouse to release the delivery. So they will do some checks whether this person who is sending that, and most of the KYC things are all done because of it's through the system it's operating. So only those people who have been given access to the system, right? They know that who are the people who are there, and they make sure that it has been the physical settlement is taking place with the right person itself. So they have the checks done, and they take the name and signature of that person, and that is again sent to the warehouse authorities. So where the physical quantity of goods are stored. So who is doing this? Depositories or the registrars who are there who will be doing all these things. Okay. So the account holder need to submit to the warehouse the acknowledgement given by the depository participant for the purpose of taking delivery. So once the registrar submits the details about the settlement for whom the settlement of that physical quantity needs to be done, the person who wants to take the physical quantity of that goods, right, you need to submit the acknowledgement which will be given to him. So that acknowledgement will be given to him, and you need to take that acknowledgement and submit it to the warehouse authority. So who has given that acknowledgement? It is depository participant. That is the person with whom you have opened the demat account, right? So he is the person who gives the acknowledgement after he receives this form from you, after due verification, all checks and everything, and also getting confirmation from the warehouse side that these physical quantities, what he has mentioned, is there already in the stores, and it's in the available numbers, and whatever it is told in the contract, it is as per that. So once he is clear with that, what he does, he informs the buyer in the form of an acknowledgement. So that acknowledgement comes through again the depository participant, and that acknowledgement is the physical thing which he needs to give it to the warehouse authority. So they will mention which is the warehouse and where is the warehouse located, and all the necessary details about the quantity, number of units, and grading, and all those things will be there in that particular thing. So once that document is submitted, right, warehouse can then deliver the commodity after verifying details given in the physical delivery request form. So the acknowledgement is again compared to ensure that whatever it was mentioned in the physical delivery request form is matching with the acknowledgement whatever is given by the buyer. So there are a lot of checks which they do, and it's a very there is a very well established process under which they do it, so that it should not create tomorrow some problems relating to issue of a wrong quality or wrong quantity of goods to some other person, or wrong persons, or there should not be any mismatch in the whatever the information you provide or whatever the deliveries you do. It should not happen like that. So what they do, they make sure that each level there is a check which is established. So at depository level, at buyer's level, and also at warehouse level. So all these three people will work in their unique style, wherein at each stage they make sure that whatever was requested in the form is what he gets at the end of the day as deliverables or settlement, we can call it as. So that is very important process. This is how the process of warehousing happens. Okay, the delivery of what the goods are lying in warehouse will happen in this process. So there is something called as commodity identifier. It's called as CID. So commodity identifier, it's called as. So what is this commodity identifier? So as the name itself tells, when we are dealing with stock exchanges, right? So if you go by demat stock exchanges, when we are talking about stocks and all those things, there is some unique identification numbers which will be issued, okay, for you to hold that particular stock. So here also they give some unique identification number. Here it is called as commodity identifier number. So commodity will be identified with respect to its quality, grade, and all those things, expiry date and validity of that particular contract. So everything will be mentioned here. That is called as commodity identifier. Just like how your stocks and shares have been identified through unique identification number, here also we have that same concept here, but we don't call it as identification number, IDSN or something like that. We call it in share, but here we call it as a commodity identifier. So what it is, as the name says, commodity identifier. It identifies the commodities. So there may be same type of commodities, but different varieties or different grades or different specifications. So how do they differ it? How do they segregate it and store it in a place according to the terms of contract? How they make the deliverables? That's very important. So that is done through commodity identifiers. So it's a 12-digit commodity code. Okay, they give a commodity code for each and every commodity based on these special characteristics like quality, grading, or expiry date, and units of measurements. See, these are the various things based on which they give the commodity identification number, which is a 12-digit commodity code. Okay, so what is the basis? The basis is based on quality, grade, and time, and contract validity period, and all these things. So they have some parameters which has been defined like this, and accordingly they classify the commodities. As soon as they warehouse take the possession of the commodities for storage purpose, right? They classify and give the 12-digit code. So that is called as commodity identifier, and this becomes very important, okay, because based on this commodity identifier only the settlement process will be taking place. So they make sure that wrong commodities are not settled with the settlement of transactions. They don't settle the wrong commodities. So whatever it was ordered and what was the terms of agreement which you have entered, because the pricing changes depending upon all this grading and all, we have discussed already enough on that. So here what happens in commodity identifier, they give a 12-digit code. That code needs to be quoted, and that is the basis on which the warehouse identifies which commodity for which transactions. So what is the basis on which this commodity identifier is worked out? It is purely worked out on some of the ingredients or factors like quality, grade, or time factor is also there, or it can be based on the validity of the contract, like this. Okay, so based on this they will give the code. So please remember this word, commodity identifier. So in case of stock and stock exchanges also, we have this unique identification number which will be given for stocks and shares. So here also they will give something called as commodity identifier. So it's a code which is to differentiate between different commodities which are being stored in warehouse. Then so we have discussed on this, and this we have discussed. So what are the functions of warehouse now? So let us understand some of the functions of warehouse. First function is to meet all the requirement as specified by commodity exchange. See, warehouse principally are created by these commodity exchanges. We told, right, how many warehouses? 30 warehouses are there total, which has been run by MCX and NCDX, all those things. So they principally work based on the timely instruction given from the commodity exchanges. So they meet all the requirement and specification whatever is given by commodity exchanges. So that is the first function. So to meet the requirement as specified by the commodity exchanges. So commodity exchanges are the people who will be creating these warehouses. Okay, so warehouses can be in the form of public or private warehouses also. Okay, so but only thing is you need to get approval from the concerned authorities, exchanges, and also take permission from National Security Depository Limited, NSDL also. So it comes under regulatory norms again. Okay, so there are a lot of procedures which you need to adopt in order to take permission for becoming an empaneled commodity exchange empaneled warehouse. Okay, that is the first one. Second one, second function is supervise and maintain the grading before storage. This is very important. So as soon as some commodity comes, right, you cannot just take the possession of those commodity or store that commodity as you like. So first and foremost thing is you need to segregate those commodities. So you need to segregate those commodities and you need to supervise and maintain the grade. So grading needs to be done, supervision of all those how the commodity came and whether inspection needs to be done with the commodity relating to what is that commodity, what are the ingredients in that commodity, whether it is meeting all the environmental specification standards and all those things, or whether it is suitable storage, or whether any precautionary things needs to be taken in order to store this particular commodity. See, all these things are left to the warehouse authorities to decide. So they are the people who will be first deciding upon, okay, so whether to take the possession, if possession needs to be taken, under what grounds. So is there any special requirement which needs to be attended to even at the time of storage, or what about the insurance and all those things. So they are the people who will be first doing all this basic study, and that is before storage I'm talking about. Okay, before ensuring that the possession of the goods are taken with the warehouse, that is before getting into the storage itself, they need to ensure all these things are done, and accordingly records needs to be kept, and the documents relating to all these things needs to be properly filed. So that is a major role of warehouse before taking the possession of the goods for storage purpose. So it's a very important role what the warehouse does here. The third important function is take care of the stored commodity according to grade, validity period, and if the validity period expires, then it should be a separate and stored at another location. So not only the warehouse function stops at the time of taking the possession, the actual process starts for storing. Okay, storing until the delivery of that particular contracts are over, right? It becomes a responsibility because they are now the custodians. Okay, they are the custodians of all the commodities now. So they need to make sure, they need to carry on physical verification from time to time, and they need to keep looking at the reconciliation thing of what is coming in and what is going out, and verify the validity periods also. So if there is some validity period which is close to expire or which is expiring, and if the contracts are not settled for that particular type of commodities, then they need to move it to the another locations. Okay, they should not keep it in the same location where it is, because it requires little bit of extra care or extra precautionary thing or extra infrastructure is required in order to store such commodities. So what they do, they need to make sure that they move it to the other locations, other warehouse locations, and there again they do all the physical transfer with care, and also they keep the records of all the transactions, how it should be done and all those things. So their role starts from not only at the time of before the goods arrives, they also, their role starts, and after the goods arrive and when they store, their role again is very much wider there. And of course they need to make sure that the delivery takes place at the right time with the right parties. So even that is also very important. So they start from right from input and the storage and the output. So all the three things role are very important of warehousing authorities. So next one is we need to understand about who are the people who are there. Main people who will be there in this particular warehouse related transaction. The first one is called as R&T agents. So who are these R&T agents? Approved registrar and transfer agents. They are called as approved registrar and transfer agents. So these are the agents who have been appointed for especially looking into this transaction of free and smooth flow of a physical quantity of goods from a warehouse to the needy person, that is the person who has entered into contract. So the role of these R&T agents are very important here, and they are again authorized people, so will be authorized under the statutory provisions, especially in terms of the markets. So there are specialized qualification, experience, and also certification and training which is required for such people to become agents. So once they fulfill all this condition, right, they will be taken on board as agents, R&T agents, and their job is to facilitate smooth happening of transaction between the warehouse and the depositories and the authorized persons. So this is their role. They facilitate the smooth functioning of the entire mechanism of warehouse operations, right, from initiating the trade to closing on settlement of the particular transactions. So that is the role, and R&Ts are appointed by the commodity exchange. So this is very important. So commodity exchanges, after due verification and after following the due procedures laid out under various norms, these commodity exchanges appoint these R&T agents, and these R&T agents license will be renewed over a period of time, looking at their performance, and sometimes they may be even blacklisted if they don't perform their duty in a proper manner. So they are appointed by the commodity exchanges, and they in turn help in dematerialization and rematerialization of commodities. So what is this dematerialization? So all the physical quantity of whatever the product commodities are received, right, that needs to be converted into electronic form. That is called as dematerialization. And similarly, whatever the electronic form is there, that needs to be converted into physical form. So this is the role of these agents. They are the specialized people who work on this principle. So they will be closely monitoring with the depository participant, and whenever the trade takes place through the commodity exchange, right, they are the people, that is physical commodity trade takes place in the commodity exchange. These people will convert that number of orders punched into the system, which are in the electronic form, to the physical form. That is called as rematerialization. Dematerialization is whatever the stock available in the exchanges, right? In the warehouse, that they will convert it into a materialized form, dematerialized form, that is in the form of electronic format. So the quantities, quality, grading, everything is getting converted now into the electronic readable form. So that is called as dematerialization. And rematerialization is electronic form to physical form. Physical form to electronic form is called as dematerialization. So these both process these people do. Who are these people? R&T agent. They are called as registrar and transfer agents. Say they are the people who are very much there in the settlement process. I told you registrar also earlier. Okay, if you remember the process of how the warehouse transaction takes place, I told registrar 2-3 times there. So who is that registrar? Registrar is nothing but R&T agents. Okay, so they are the people who facilitate the happening of the settlement process between the authorized customers and the warehouse people. So they are appointed by the commodity exchanges. Okay, they facilitate happening of the settlement process. Okay, that is a very important role they perform. So whatever the materialize or dematerialize or the rematerialize things which happens, especially in terms of commodity exchanges, right? That transactions will be taken off care by these R&T agents. So let us understand what are the functions of R&T agents. So there are, as I told you, let us put it in a sequential form. What are the various functions they perform? First function is they connect with approved warehouse and provide necessary assistance. So as it is clearly told, since they have been appointed by the exchange, they act as connectors. So what is this connectors? The role of connectors is between the depositors, that is the clients who are the depositors maintain their accounts with, and to facilitate the transaction with the warehouse where the commodities are stored physically. So they do the facilitation job. That is the first point. Second point, verify the commodity and assign identification number allotted by depositories. So this is a very important thing. They do all the verification things also. So commodity verifications are done by these people, and also they assign identification number. So whatever the commodity identifiers we told, right, 12-digit number. So that is the identification number what these people will allot. So who allots the identification number? If they ask, it is nothing but R&T agent. They are the people who will be physically verifying the goods, and after verifying according to the standards, terms, quality, and validity, and terms of contracts and all those things, they will assign or they will give the verification commodity identifier, that is the identification code for that particular commodity. And their job is very important because they take the entire responsibility of classifying, grading, and qualitating based on the commodity identifiers. So next is ascertain the credit of commodity held with the demat account. So this is also very important. So the quality and the commodity is what needs to be credited into the dematerialized form based on the request raised at the time of entering the contract. These people ensure that they will do that. So they ascertain what is the credit of the commodity which should be held in demat account form. So that level of equating that entry of the contract with the quantity and number of units, or what the gradient or variants or whatever it is. So these people ensure that credit of that particular commodity will be made to that particular demat account. The fourth important is to maintain that credit of commodity is done only against the demat account, which is held with exchange empaneled depository. So they are the people who make sure, verify the demat account and make sure that the particular demat account only needs to be credited with that particular quantity of goods, or particular quantity of that goods to be dematerialized only to that particular demat account which has been empaneled with the depositories. So they are the people who need to verify all these records. So before they credit that commodities to that particular demat, so they do it. That is a very important role because it involves a lot of understanding about the depositories, and as well as also the demat holders, whether to test whether these people are genuine person, or whether the transaction is being moved to a right party. So who is the party who has asked for that, and whether that commodity has been put into the right people or not. So they are the people. So they are the people who make sure that the specified or requested quantity of that demat accounts transaction, what they were expecting, is getting credited from the register, that is R&T agents. The next one is arrange for issuance of authorization to warehouse on receiving request for rematerialization through the depositories for the delivery. So once the settlement process takes place, right, and then rematerialization happens. That means electronic format, which is held up, the quality and quantity of what is held up in electronic format should get converted into the physical format. So that is called as rematerialization. So these people issues authorizations for the person who is custodian, or who is a person who is authorized person who wants to take the physical delivery of the goods at the term of ending of the contract, right? So they give the authorization. Authorization letters will be given by these R&T agents to make sure that the warehouse authority releases that particular commodities to that particular authorized agents who is having that particular authorization letter. So who does this? Again, the R&T agents does this. So they ensure that they not only value that particular transactions in the form of dematerialized and rematerialized, but also make sure that the contract terminates or gets settled in an amicable way. So that is very important role. Just like we have custom house, clearing house agents and all those things, right? Clearing house agents, we had it in stock markets. So similar role is performed by R&T agents here. So their clearinghouse agents make sure that the settlement process takes place between the buyers and sellers in a proper way. Here also same thing. Okay, these people, R&T agents, ensure that whatever the physical commodity you were supposed to buy, the same physical commodities are getting settled at the end of the contract. So they make sure that the same grade, same variant, and same description and all those things match, and they take the possession of the goods without any hassle. So that is very important. So authorization is also given by R&T agents in order to take back the possession of the goods which have been stored in warehouse. Not only this, they also do some other important functions. The next important function is they bridge, that is they connect with approved warehouse and provide necessary assistance. So the connectivity is also there. So they connect people, the authorized people or depositors with approved warehouses. Okay, and they also provide some assistances. So what is the assistances? Assistance in the form of grading, or in order to identify the what is the time period till they should stock that, or if there is any extra infrastructure facilities required, they will even give advices on that also. What are the extra infrastructure facilities are required in order to store that commodities, or in case of if insurances are not properly covering that particular commodity, they even ask for going for extra insurance and all those things. See, basically they give all type of advisory services to warehouses also. So this is a very important function what the R&T agents does. So they are the people who have been appointed by exchanges. So what is the role? They need to ensure that there is a smooth, fair amount of settlement which takes place, and their role is to ensure that all of them are taken into consideration and see that they perform their duties in terms of a smooth settlement of trade. So whatever the roles they are supposed to take, it is left to them to take, and they need to give even the advisory services to warehouse also. So moving of some materials, if they find that there is some quality standard depleting in certain material, that should not spoil the other, so they quickly take the decision of moving it to other locations. So these are the things, the advisory role what they give to the warehouse. And verify the commodity and assign identification number allotted by depository, that we discussed. They also record beneficiaries holding demat commodities in warehouse and in the depository, and inform the same to the exchange as and when asked for. So since they have been appointed by commodity exchanges will quite often require a lot of inputs from these depository, from these R&T agents, to know about the authentication of the people who are doing trade in the business. So they can collect vital information through this R&T agents upon how the trades are taking place over a period of time, or what are the genuinity of the transactions, and what are the key informations which has been coming out of that. For various analysis purpose also, commodity exchange can rely upon R&T for collecting various information, because since they are the people who are working at the ground level with warehouse, and also with the people who are bringing in the goods and storing the goods there, definitely they will have a lot of inputs which they can share it with the commodity exchanges. So where commodity exchange can bring out a lot of analytics with that and take future decision. So definitely they are a very important people who will be helping in various forms of information gathering and also information sharing. The next one is to coordinate with depository participant and warehouse for service billings. See, normally end of the day they charge for whatever the services they are providing. So who should bear that charge? The depository participant and the warehouses. They are the people who need to definitely bear the charges for the role what R&D agents are performing. So they make sure that they interact with these two people also. So they quite often interact with depositories as well as warehouse for all their service billing and all those things. The next one is they do very important job of reconciling. Reconciling is very important. What is this reconciling? Reconciling of your dematerialized commodities with your physical commodities. Okay, and periodic basis they do this, because just like how you do stock verification and in your stores, right? So whatever raw material or whatever you have purchased, whether the issues have been done properly, or whether the physical verification is matching with whatever you are showing in the system. So all these things you do it in your stores, right? Same thing. So here also two things are there. One is physical stock, another is the stock getting converted in dematerialized form. That means whatever the stocks are there in warehouse, right, that should be converted into equivalent dematerialized form. So always there should be matching between what is given in the system and what is there in your physical stock. So who does that reconciliation? Again, R&T agents do this reconciliation. So whatever has been reported under dematerialized form, and whatever is shown to public that these are the quantities and these are the varieties of commodities which are available in the warehouse, that should match with what is there in physically. So tomorrow when some people enter into contract looking at what is there in the warehouse, and tomorrow if they surprise, they find that such type of quantities are not available, then there is a mismatch in the stock valuation itself. The look, whatever you have stored is not correct then. So there may be a huge cry, and it may be a very derogatory thing for the exchanges to handle, because they will blame the exchanges for all these things. So it's a very important thing that they take this risk of doing this verification, physical verification with dematerialized commodities. So they verify both, and they make sure that whatever is shown in the dematerialized form matches with whatever is there in the warehouse in the physical form. So that reconciliation is done by these R&T agents. Then there are other person also called as approved assayers. See, these approved assayers are those people who are appointed by exchanges, and they grade the commodities. Their role is to grade the commodities for at the time of receiving that commodities at the warehouse level, right? So it should be graded. So who does that grading? Grading is done by approved assayers. Approved assayers, ASSAYERS, assayers they are called as. So they are the people who will basically do the grading. So they do the grading, and again they are the people who are again appointed by exchanges. So based on their grading certification only, the commodities in warehouse is arranged according to the grades. Okay, so they arrange the commodity according to the grade, and that grade again, that commodities are converted into dematerialized form based on which the trade takes place in the market. So the role of these assayers are very important, because they are the people with the sound knowledge of grading. So they know how to grade, and what are the parameters under which they need to grade, and what are the ways of grading it, and how to streamline the process of grading. So all these things they are quite aware of. They are called as approved assayers. So what are the functions? Two important functions they do. One is ensuring grading facilities as per compliances. That's what I told you. So compliances are, there are certain steps, set of instructions, standard instructions which have been given as to how the grading needs to be done. So that is the first thing what these people do. These assayers, they are the first people who grade before they receive the goods at warehouse level. They first do the grading. So grading just done not by their on their individual consciousness. They don't do it. They do according to the compliances. So who has given the compliances? There are standards like AgMark and all those things we have discussed already. So that was the chapter. That's why I covered the chapter in advance, so that you understand, you link this subject there. So there are AgMark, ISI standards, and all those things are there, right? Bismarck standards and all those things. So that is the compliance thing which is there, which is existing. So based on that compliance thing only, they will start grading it. So the role of assayers is to grade before they receive or before they store it in godown or warehouse, right? That is the role of these people. Okay, they are the people who grade it based on compliances. That is the first function. Second one, they issue grading certificates. Okay, so what is this grading certificate? So each of the commodities are given certificate based on their ingredient values. So each commodity has its own specifications and specified values attached to it. So like validity period will be there, or like time will be there, like color will be there, like operational activities, what it gets engaged with, that is also there. So grading comes in various forms and various types. So after verifying these things according to compliances and according to all the other physical structure of that particular commodity, or aesthetical values, psychological values, all those things, then what they do, they grade it and they give certificate based on that. So that certificate is the authentication which says that why this grading is done at this price, and why this product is stored at this time, at this place, or whatever it is. So based on the certification, the warehouse authorities takes the decision of prioritizing or moving that particular commodities into different areas. So, and this is the basis, fundamental basis on which the demat account works, and based on this only the pricing happens. So the people enter into contract looking at all these specifications. So The buyer and sellers are not ignorant people here. They know about the grades, they know about the quality, and they know about what the future expectation of the market and all those things. So only those. That's why when you are talking about derivative, many people say derivative is risky. No, it's not risky unless you understand the concept of that particular market. So you should have some knowledge about the quality, grade, and all those things. So if you don't know, and if you simply go for investing in or trading in this commodity exchanges, right, definitely you lose. So this is very important because grading involves a lot of things. Unlike stocks and share, you look into the profit angle, you look it into the balance sheet, you look it into the capital structure, or you look it into various instruments, funding instruments which are there in that corporate, and you look it into look into the future orders which the company is receiving, its expansion mode, and its various other things are looked into, right, when you put money in stock market. Similarly, in commodity market, we are investing our money, or we are trading on a particular thing in terms of future contracts or whatever it is, just by going with the quality and the quantity and the grades, or under the specialized things which are there in that particular product, which is not available in other products. So the features are very important here. So unless and until we understand these things, it's not advisable for anyone to venture into commodity exchanges for in the form of derivative products, future commodity exchanges. So it's not advisable. So you should know at least basic things. You should know about the structure, and also you should have a thorough knowledge of how this particular commodities gets traded in the market based on what are the ingredients or constraints under which they operate. So in that form, yes, this assayers play a very important role, because they give grading certificate, and based on the grading certificate itself, the availability or the stock of that particular commodities are stored, and that is getting converted into dematerialized form, and that gets traded in the market. So this is a very important thing, and assayers plays a very important role in these two aspects. So next is advantages and challenges. I think we are running out of time. I'll just stop here. Okay. If you have any questions, you can ask me. So only two things are there in warehousing: advantages and challenges I need to cover. So I'll cover it in the next class. So if you have any questions, you can ask me. So points you want me to repeat twice. Which point you want? All the points. Hello. You want all the points to be repeated? Please let me know. What do you want to depository participants? See, depository participants are those people who have been recognized in the market to interact between the customers and the exchange. DPs, they are called as DPs. DPs are depository participants. Like ICICI Bank is a depository participant. Okay, or Hindustan Bull is Indian Bulls are a depository participant. See, depository participants work in between the two important people, that is exchange and the common man. So if I want to trade, I cannot directly go and hit the servers of exchanges. I cannot. They don't give me permission to do it. So I will be routed through depository participants. So these are the depository participants who convert the exchange tradable things, right, into dematerialized form. So they are the people who do all these things. They are called as depository participants, and these depository participants should take permission from the NSDL, National Security Depository Limited. So they need to get recognition from there. They get a license from there. Then only they can take the become the depository participants, and they facilitate us. That's what they are connecting between markets and us. That is investors. Yeah, material will be shared. I'll share you all the materials. I'm preparing that material. Okay, once material is done, I'm telling from my experience. Okay, lot of points I'm telling from my experience that is not there in any presentation. I'll put all these points and I'll make notes and I'll send it to you. So, any other questions? Are you understanding the concept how the commodity exchanges work? Hello? Are you able to hear me? Okay, 18 of them are there, 19 of them are there. I don't know, just now they came. Are you listening to my presentation seriously? Or just you are logging in? Yeah, videos are available offline. Okay, I'll share the link. You can just take that again and you can hear it again. Okay, only Tejas finished telling that she is able to hear, understand. What about the others? Others, are you just logging in and you're going out or what? You are sitting in front of the system or mobile phone and you are listening to me what I'm saying, or just you are switching on the mobile and you are just going around. Okay, good. So if you have any question, just let me know. Okay, I'll be sending you all these links, and also I'll be preparing one material and I'll be sending it to you. Okay, so in case you have any doubts, you can ask me. And these videos will be available again and again. Okay, you can, whenever you want to see these videos, you can just log into the link. I'll give you the link, so you can go to that link and you can again take that videos also. Okay, you can again, if you get any doubts or if you want to understand the points again and again, you can go back and see the videos. Okay, prices and all are different. Okay, don't worry about the prices. Or else tomorrow I'll mute my video. I'll just do audio then. Diksha is very much looking about the prices and all those things. So you don't have class today, eh? Is Mr. Tyagarajan taking the class?